Welcome to Sunday's edition of the dceu Daily. A couple of weeks ago, I said this.
Harley Quinn to be killed off in James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. I repeat, Harley Quinn to be killed off in James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. Nah.
Yes, Mick. 2 weeks ago, I said that on an episode of the dceu Daily. You're mad, you told me. You need committing. You need to go to Arkham Asylum. Well, yesterday on Twitter, James Gunn asked fans this question. Which two characters do you believe will survive my Suicide Squad movie? Not my Suicide Squad movie, his Suicide Squad movie, right? Now, a few fans said to him, well, we all know there's some characters DC won't allow you to kill. Wrong, said James Gunn. I am allowed to do whatever I want with these DC characters. So James Gunn is confirming that he can kill off anyone he wants in this movie. And he said this after a fan said to him, you will never kill Harley. So he's basically saying he's willing to, right? Now, this means that nobody's safe in this movie, if you believe what he is saying. Listen, as I'm on record saying this a couple of weeks ago, a source told me this. I believe this. And I read an article about her production company and basically Variety bragging about how everyone in her production company has sold a script. Basically, obviously sponsored her company and her paid Variety to do this. But it doesn't matter. It's pretty clear to me that after James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, and I've said a lot of things about her, and I've said that maybe James Gunn could work with her again as Harley. That would mean she would have to be really, really popular in this movie, as popular, if not more, than she was in David Ayer's Suicide Squad movie. In fact, that wasn't actually his movie, was it? They took it away from him, and they shat on it from a great height. But you know what I mean. I believe she's done with Harley after this. She's going over to Disney. She's going to do a Pirates of the Caribbean film. I know. Think about that for a minute. This is an Academy-nominated actor that's actually going off to do a Pirates movie, a female Pirates movie, just to say, hello, I'm a feminist. I believe in inclusion and feminism, right? Instead of actually honing her talent and doing something maybe like Jodie Foster did in her youth, which was actually show what it's all about with a movie about being raped. And a movie like Silence of the Lambs, you know, The Accused and Silence of the Lambs will be two of the best movies ever made within the Hollywood system. And, you know, Jodie didn't have to go screaming about how hip she is and what a cool kid she is, right? Anyway, what Margot Robbie does with her career doesn't really interest me. What interests me is that I believe that she's done with Harley after James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, and I believe he's going to shock everyone by killing her off. He's pretty much confirmed that he can kill anyone he wants. I suppose he would say that because he wants to create an environment, an atmosphere where anyone could die in this movie. I suppose it's like watching an episode of 24. You know that anyone apart from Jack Bauer can die, even though they did kill him at the end of day 4, even though we knew he wasn't dead and he faked his death and he was coming back. Yeah, I get that. So that's the kind of environment that James is trying to set up. But I believe it. I believe he's willing to kill Harley Quinn. And I think this would be I think it would be the right thing to do. Now, you know my opinion on it. I love Margot. I think she's done amazing since her Neighbours Day in Australia. She's come a long way. But I think it may be time for her to move on, and I think she wants to move on. Not because she has any issue with the character and she doesn't want to continue playing with the character. It's clear that Birds of Prey and the emancipation of one Harley Quinn really, really did upset her and her ideology and her narrative. It didn't go the way she wanted. The original cuts of the film weren't something that Walter Hamada was impressed with, and I think she was upset with that. She wanted those cuts of the film to be in the actual film. I'd like to see them, by the way. So they brought in the John Wick director, and, you know, the rest is history. The film didn't do very well. There was a lot of talk about what was going on behind the scenes. There's nothing you can do to delete that. So I think it's very, very interesting if she will continue to play Harley after this film. Nothing's been announced, by the way. That's very, very vital and important. Nothing's been announced that Robbie will be doing anything after James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. And of course, they're not going to announce that if they want us to think it is plausible that even she could be killed off from the movie. But I do believe it's going to happen. I do believe they're going to kill her off. And as I say, it probably will be the biggest shock of all time in a comic book movie. But I think it's going to happen. I think she's fallen out with WB. I think she is going to Disney. They are going to give her a free rein for inclusion and representation, for feminism and women. And this is what she wants. And this is the banner that Disney are now going under as well with their live action movies. I think anyone but Johnny Depp doing Pirates, it's going to be an absolute disaster. And it's not that Margot hasn't got the chops or the talent to do it. It's just taking something that somebody else did, you know, and then trying to bring your agenda and your narrative and ideology to it. And things under those banners are just not going to work. But it's up to her. It's her career. And if she doesn't want to keep her good name, she's already had a flop with Birds of Prey because of her and what Christina Hodgson did as well. She's taking Hodgson with her. She's part of this all-female production company. So good luck to them. But I do feel she could and probably will be killed off from James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. Then you ask yourself, who else is he going to kill off? Because it's an interesting debate that James has set up. This is why I love James. He does interact with the fans. And sometimes the fans give him a hell of a lot of shit. But he's very good at taking it. And I think he blocks very, very few people. But the thing is, it's good to interact with the fans because you know you already get a voice. You hear people, you hear what they want, that you hear what they don't want, and you don't always give people what they want. Not in art, you don't. Sometimes you do, but sometimes you don't. It's the way it works. So it will be interesting to see who dies in this movie. I personally think that King Shark will not die. Peacemaker probably won't die because he's doing the HBO Max straight to streaming limited series, unless that's a prequel. Could be a big shock that they actually do kill him off, but I doubt it. Yeah, I think King Shark is going to survive to tell a lot of other tales within the DCEU, which is awesome, of course. So yeah, there you have it. I do believe that Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn will be brown bread in James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, and I'd love to know what you think. Tweet me on Twitter, of course, @MoviesTVMad, and I'll be happy to hear from you. Not DMs. Do it on the timeline. More fun. Everyone can get involved, and we can have a little chat. Awesome! The Snyder Cut is justice for the old DCEU. Here. This is an article header from Screen Rant where we're going to read it now. I'm going to say this is by someone called Andy because I do not know what that second name is, and I do not even want to destroy it. Thanks to the Snyder Cut, it won't just be Zack Snyder's Justice League getting justice in 2021, but the entirety of the original DCEU plan. I couldn't agree more. Zack Snyder's Justice League is getting the chance to come full circle with its release in 2021, celebrating not just Snyder's original vision, but the entirety of the old pre-Justice League DCEU. The journey began all the way back in 2013, when Snyder kicked off Warner Brothers' first official cinematic universe with the DC brand, starting with Man of Steel. While it took some time before plans started to emerge of what the first phase of DC films would be about, it was clear that the director had a larger vision in mind. Snyder has been open about having a 5-arc plan that started in Man of Steel and would continue into a Justice League franchise. But when Warner Brothers and Joss Whedon overhauled his third DC film, it resulted in the critical disaster that was the 2017 theatrical cut. This wasn't the first time that Warner Brothers had gotten in the way for Snyder, as Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice was affected by similar interference in its 30 minutes shorter theatrical cut. As the 2017 version of Justice League helped create the release the Snyder Cut movement, fans campaigned for years to get Snyder's official version of the film released in some format. The payoff came earlier this year when the director revealed that the Snyder Cut would be released on HBO Max at some point in 2021. Snyder is currently in the middle of additional photography, which recently generated headlines as it was announced that Jared Leto's Joker is taking part in the film. The last time fans saw him in the DCEU was in Suicide Squad back in 2016. That, like the Snyder Cut, was also heavily changed because of Warner Brothers' interference. A similar campaign has come to life in the form of Release the Air Cut, which was a key part in the original plans for the DCEU. But with Leto now getting to reprise his take on the comic book Batman foe, the Snyder Cut of Justice League is becoming the ultimate payoff for the DCEU. This is no longer just something that honours Snyder's original plan for the team-based film, but the entire shared universe as a whole. While Joker's part in the film has yet to be revealed, nor has it been specified how much he'll be in it, Leto's participation carries more weight than meets the eye. Despite Warner Brothers' hesitations in the last few years, the vision that the DCEU wanted to go for originally is getting to see the light of day. And I couldn't be more happy about this. The more I think about it, the more excited I get. I just want the talking to stop and the viewing to start. 2021 will be an interesting year for the DCEU as the Snyder Cut makes its way to HBO Max and is seen by the world at last. While the DC films have taken a new direction after 2017, it does seem like there is room for the shared universe's initial concept. With Snyder's official Justice League settings, its spotlight, perhaps it won't be long until Ayer's Suicide Squad cut gets an opportunity to be seen too. Let's hope so. While it will be exciting to see the director's long-awaited vision of the Justice League, it will be even more interesting to see its effect on the DCEU going forward. Now, this is a point of contention, of course, because Zack's already said that, his world, Man of Steel and BVS, and this Justice League movie are an Elseworld now. So it's not really going to it can't have an effect on the other stuff. And of course, we don't know what's going to happen in Flashpoint and where the Snyderverse is going to be. So there's so many things that we're just going to have to wait and see, even after we've seen the Snyder Cut. Very interesting. And that's the article. I think it's an interesting article because it's saying what we're saying. Not in so many words, but I think it's great. I think people are starting to believe that this is not a one and done, that there will be more, and there is more being planned. It's also being debated right now what Zack is actually shooting. Is it more for his Justice League movie we'll see next year on HBO Max? Is it for Justice League 2? What is it for? Is it for the actual movie? Now, officially, that's what we're being told. But it's interesting because $70 million, as I keep on saying, is a hell of a lot of money. And seeing that he seemed to have shot everything he wanted apart from the Martian Manhunter stuff, the cliffhangers he's got to do for the episodes, what else is he doing? Obviously, he's bringing in the Joker as well. Is that for Justice League 2 or is it for Zack Snyder's Justice League 1? Which I think we're going to have to start referring to it as Zack Snyder's Justice League Part 1. I believe there will be a Part 2, even though Zack went onto a YouTuber's channel and said he doesn't know if Warner Brothers are going to want to do more. And of course, I understand Zack saying that. He wants to create the hunger so we can watch this, stream it, support it, so there can be more. He needs us to do that. I believe that this is going to be the most successful streaming event of all time. Just do the maths. Just do the maths. It's always trending. It's nuts. Everyone is talking about this, even the haters. And if you've got lovers and haters, I tell you what, you're about to make a hell of a lot of money. No movie theatres, nothing from, the cinematic franchise allowed to be released unless they embrace streaming. And I don't think they're going to embrace streaming anytime soon. Although, seeing now all the movies are now under Toby Emmerich's banner or at Warner Brothers Pictures, maybe the reason they've done that because they're preparing to stream a lot more of cinematic content. So that'd be a curious thing to see how that develops as well, because they need to make money. It's as simple as that. You can sit there going, I want to see it in the cinema. That world is dead. That world is dead. It is finished. whatever you think about COVID, whether, and I don't want to say too much on this platform because I don't want to lose my account. Whatever you think about that virus, and is it a natural phenomenon or, exactly, I don't want to go into it, but it is creating a situation where we can't go to the cinema and watch our movies. So something's going to have to change. And let's see what happens there. But yeah, Zack Snyder is in such a beautiful position because there's not much going on next year. More movies will be postponed because this virus isn't going anywhere, as we've already said. And so it's a big event, a bigger event now because of what's happening in the world. And I think everyone is just intrigued and excited to see what this film is. The problem is things get built up. And then when you overbuild something up, when you actually see it, you're underwhelmed. I want everyone to remember this is the sequel to Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman. It was never meant to be anything else but that. So expect to see that. Maybe don't expect to see the best film you've ever seen. It probably will be. It probably will be. I'm not saying it's not. Just calm down those expectations for yourself so you're not disappointed. For me, I'm expecting to see, as I say, the sequel to Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice. And we're going to get that. We're going to get those payoffs. We're going to get a continuation of the nightmare sequence. And finally, we're going to see these DC characters together in a team, something we've dreamt of for a very long time. Now, we saw them in 2017, but this is the way Snyder envisioned it. And Snyder's vision is the way I want to see my DC films and my DC characters explored. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. What do you think? Do you really think James Gunn is going to kill Harley Quinn? And are you excited for the Snyder Cut? Do you think this movie is justice for the original vision for the DCEU? And we could finally get the entire vision. I think it is. I think this is the beginning. I think this is justice that had to be served. And I'm really happy right now with what's going on. Comment down below, like, share and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at MoviesTVMad. And I'll be back tomorrow with even more DCEU Daily. See you again soon.